So this story comes from Sean King at the Daily News, and just a horrific incident. Just some of the acts, man. It can just make you boil your skin, really. So early Saturday morning, Deborah Pearl, a 53-year-old African American mother and employee of a Cleveland area Harley Davidson diner in Northeast Ohio, was on her way to work. At 7:20 a.m., as she was driving her Ford Taurus, she had no idea that she was living her very last moments on this earth. Matthew Ryan Desha, a 29-year-old white man, ran a red light in an intersection and hit Pearl's car with his Jeep. After his car flipped many times and hers was pushed into the intersection, what happened next was like something out of a horror movie. As Deborah Pearl got out of her car to assess the situation, Matthew Desha did as well, except he also grabbed his 5.56 millimeter high-powered assault rifle. According to witnesses, Pearl then proceeded to put her hands in the air in an attempt to save her life from the armed stranger who had narrowly avoided killing them both in the crash just seconds earlier. It mattered not to Matthew Desha, a witness who called 911 reported hearing him fire off at least 12 shots. At first, he appeared to be random. The 911 caller heard Deborah Pearl, who was a sitting duck at that point, begin screaming. Desha then began aiming and firing at her. While it has not yet been released how many times she was hit, when police arrived to the scene, Deborah Pearl was found there on the pavement, mortally wounded and bleeding out. Devastating and shocked, her husband and other family members came to the scene and, understandably so, could not even muster up the words to explain how they were feeling. Matthew Desha was arrested near the scene. Early Monday morning, he was charged with the murder of Deborah Pearl. Police have not mentioned a motive for the brutal murder, but the entire scene is riddled with awful implications. Wow. Just this past June, police charged 29-year-old Matthew R. Desha with one felony count of carrying a concealed weapon and one misdemeanor count of possession of drug paraphernalia. A search of the North Ridgeville, Ohio man's car turned up a loaded 9mm handgun and 3 additional loaded magazines, along with straws with suspected drug residue and other contraband. My goodness, man. My mind immediately goes to Khalif Bowder, who was arrested on suspicion of stealing a backpack. Khalif spent 3 years in jail awaiting trial for that charge before simply being released when the case was dismissed. Desha, though, was arrested on a felony gun charge and was suspected of having drugs in his car as well, but was released in plenty of time to murder Deborah Pearl in cold blood. I don't know Matthew Desha, but I know cold-blooded bigotry and violence. I know that what Matthew Desha did to Deborah Pearl reminds me a great deal of what Dylan Roof, another heavily armed white man who had been previously arrested multiple times for drug and other charges, did to a group of unarmed African Americans in Charleston, South Carolina. Either way, a family just lost their wife and mother in a senseless act of American violence, and we don't have a single sign that anybody in power is close to doing a thing about it. That's a shame. They will lock a black person up in a minute. But this dude has drug paraphernalia, unlawful weaponry, a felony, and he's out. Able to kill this woman. Unbelievable, man. And but let some of our people talk about racism is that it's past us. Please. My name is Yarima Karama at Your Black World News.